Patty, these are like record temperatures that we're having here in Northeast Indiana and lots of parts of the country. Does that mean you shouldn't go camping if it's really hot out? Well, we're going to talk about hot weather camping in this episode of Travels with Delaney,
the podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back. My name's Patrick.
I'm Patty.
And we are joined here on our brand new podcast sofa by none other than Mr. Truman Marshall, our Cavalier King Charles Spaniel.
I like how you use his middle name.
Yeah, I do. Every now and then I like to throw out the middle name even when he's not in trouble.
I call him Mr. T.
Mr. T. Pity the fool.
I pity the fool, don't think I'm cute.
That's
Mr.
right.
T.
And as always, right over on the theater seats, what would that be,
What's her
adjacent
name?
to us?
Yes.
And that would be little Bess Margaret.
Bess Margaret.
Our other Cavalier King Charles
Yes,
Spaniel.
we do
She's
give
asleep.
our pets middle names.
That's right.
Yes.
Hey, you know, there are children, and
Yep.
we
But
treat them as such.
some people don't have middle names.
No, that's
they
true.
Have just an initial or
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah. My mom's father, my grandfather, him and his brothers all just had middle initials. So he was Wayne S. And I can't remember what Uncle Donnie was. It was Donald. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, I always remember Uncle Donnie telling the story one time that, when he joined the Army, because they served in World War II and I believe also Korea, that his troop commander says, "What's your name?" And he said, "Donald T." We'll just say it was T. It wasn't. I can't remember. And Shoemaker. And he goes, "No, your full name." And he goes, "That is my full name." He goes, "No, the middle name." And he goes, "No, it's just Donald T." Or like in my grandpa's case, it was Wayne S. And
Did he make something up?
I don't think so. I think he just said that.
Yeah.
So my great grandmother, which would have been their mother, just gave them middle initials.
Well, and our friends Mark and Karen Milinarski, they don't have middle names.
Oh, they don't?
Or middle initials.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy how this all works?
Your middle name is?
Annette, and my mom gave me the longest name ever for a kindergartner.
Patricia Annette. Yeah.
Yeah.
Snyder.
Said it was her favorite.
Snyder with
name.
a Y.
Yeah, but when I was in trouble, it was Patty Ann, and look out.
Yeah. I'm Patrick Lee.
Aww.
Yeah, that was always the joke. So my dad is Ronald Lee, and my nephew is Alexander Lee. Yeah. I believe Darren, my brother-in-law,
is
also Lee.
Yeah.
So a lot of Lees.
A lot of Lee.
And I think in your family they used Lee.
No.
Right? No? Scott Harold.
Harold was
That's
Grandpa's
right.
name.
Oh, yeah. I'll take Lee.
He got Harold.
Yeah, I'll take
Ronald
Lee.
Harold, Scott Harold. Yeah, all these Harold, even my cousins on my aunt's sons of Harold, middle name. That was Grandpa's name.
So this is the.
We digress.
This is I think the last full week of June.
Isn't
We're
that
recording this on a
June
Thursday.
just flew by.
And number one, as we get ready, we'll be going into 4th of July week when this airs. So we hope everyone has a wonderful and safe 4th of July holiday. This year, 4th is on a Friday.
That's good for a lot of people.
It's good for a lot of people. So we'll start ramping up. We have a 3-night package, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're completely sold out here at Happy Acres Campground in Angola, Indiana. Not sponsored.
Don't just camp.
But Angie, you could sponsor us. I mean, throw a few.
That's right. Throw a few little bones at it.
Yeah,
Come on, woman.
How about some free camping? Oh, wait, we already get that with our work camp. Okay. Anyway, I digress.
Oh, my gosh.
But we have been in this heat wave. And
that's why we're digressing.
Yeah,
our brains
are fried. And it was only supposed to last a few days, and now they just keep extending it.
They're toying with us.
Because today was supposed to be like mid-80s, and we're under another extreme heat advisory.
Yeah, I'm like, you people need to get it together.
Yeah.
We were hoping for a little break, but rain. The rain went around us.
Haven't gotten any rain.
Split the other day. Rain
I would give anything for a little rain.
I don't know if that would help at all.
It might.
Mosquitoes are terrible. It's just not pleasant.
Yeah. So I don't know. But Patty, I said, what do you want to talk about this week? And she goes, I think we should talk about RVing in extreme heat and different things we do to try to stay cool. Because, again, camping, is one of those things where you can't just call up the campground, a day before or 2 days before and go, I really don't like what the weather is going to be. Because most campgrounds like us have cancellation policies. Ours here is you have to cancel at least 7 days prior. Anything less than that, there's no refund. And so I think most campers understand that when you book something, you just have to go with whatever the weather is, whether it's rain, snow, sleet, hail. I mean, and sometimes you get lucky and it's nice out. But so I thought we'd talk about that, but not before we do another exciting round of This or That.
Okay.
So I thought I'd keep it topical today for you, Patty.
All right.
So when it is extremely hot out,
Right.
which would you rather have as a beverage to cool you off?
Yeah.
Would you rather have just straight up water,
Okay.
or would you rather have a mango dragon fruit from Starbucks?
When it's really, really, really
Yes,
hot.
when it's really hot, what would be your preference to cool off?
I think I'd go with the water with an IV hydrate in it.
All right, the water with a IV hydrate for the win.
That's what I call it. I don't know if that's the name of it.
Yeah, it's those. Yeah, okay, yeah. Because I was kind of wondering, because everybody who listens to our podcast knows that you're like a Starbucks freak with the mango dragon fruit.
Oh, I love it with water.
And you never pass one of those up. But I thought because sometimes when you're really hot out, some things just and that water is going to be your best hydration in extreme heat.
We use those IV. I don't know the exact name, but IV hydrates.
We get them at Costco, and
they're powders you put in your drinks.
Yep, and they help boost for hydration purposes.
And they have all those vitamins and extra things to help you feel better when it's hot.
So, all right, well, let's
go with that.
Let's go with that as the start of this podcast. So, number one tip, I guess, is when you're camping and it is super warm, and even if you're not camping and it's super warm, stay hydrated. I think a lot of people end up getting sick when it's extremely hot out because you're outside doing things, you're working, your body is naturally sweating out the fluids, and if you're not constantly putting fluids in, then you're going to become dehydrated, which, I remember being very sick out in West Yellowstone.
Right.
And I think it was 2020. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We were camping with Russ and Carrie. And I just one afternoon, I started feeling really lightheaded. I mean, and then ended up throwing up. And the next day, after I got fluids in me, I remember feeling much better, and I think what had happened was between the altitude out there and I just hadn't been drinking enough water and it was super warm out, I had just become dehydrated where my body was saying enough's enough. Right. And because I remember Russ and Carrie had been working at the candy store, and I was sitting outside when they got back, and Russ came over and was sitting with me, and I kept thinking, I'm going to throw up. And I was trying not to, and I know Russ gets a little queasy about those things.
Everybody does, I
think. Finally I go, I remember I said, Russ, I'm really tired. I got to go to bed. And I ran in. I felt so bad because I felt like I was really being rude. And I did. I went in and literally, threw up. But the next day, I remember I apologized to Russ, and he said, no, he goes, I felt like I was being rude for keeping you up. And I finally did tell him why I rushed in and called it a night so quick. But so keeping hydrated, I think, is really important.
Right, and we learned that when we were at Disney, too, because we were in Florida in the summer when you're on the sun, and
Florida is the sun in the summer.
Yeah. And they gave us one of the things that we got from getting your costume was a humongous water bottle.
Yeah.
And we'd go, they say, fill it up with ice, fill it up with water, do it constantly, because we were out in the heat all the time. That was your job,
right.
But a lot of people forget, and they think, oh, I can have lemonade or I can have iced tea. No, it's just water.
You need water.
Not
Water's going to absorb.
Soda has too much sweets, sugar in it.
I've had doctors tell us that before. That I even have said iced tea, and they're like, no, just water.
Not even lemonade. Water.
So one of the things we do here for our grounds crew is we have a refrigerator down in the maintenance barn, and I've been putting both water and Gatorade in there for them. And obviously we don't charge them, for it. We just stock it and say, please. I keep saying to Bill and Robin and Don and Kate and whoever else is working outside, like, please stay hydrated, because it's so important. I don't want anybody getting sick. So yeah, I think that's that was a good starting point.
There you go.
Obviously your air conditioning system is crucial in RVing, as far as staying cool and while you're RVing. And I think a few things that are important is, number one, make sure that you either yourself or, in my case, Myron, periodically goes on the roof of your RV, takes the plastic cover off, and cleans the coils.
Right.
Because, like where we're at here at Happy Acres, we have cottonwood trees around us, and that cottonwood just sticks to those coils.
It almost turns like a paste.
Yeah. And when your coils get
gooped up
full
like
that, then that air exchange just doesn't happen as efficiently and really bogs down your AC, makes it less efficient, probably not going to be as cold.
Right.
And so the one that I think most people probably remember to do is inside cleaning the filters.
Right. You
okay.
See those are
on the
obvious.
returns.
Yeah.
So most people do that, but they forget that up on the roof is the actual coils and the fins that need to be cleaned. And honestly, if you depending on where you're at, a lot of people may be able to get away with cleaning them every spring and every fall. Here at Happy Acres, we're having to do it a little bit more often because of the cottonwood.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
once the cottonwood settles down around here, which I think we're just about done with cottonwood,
yeah.
Normally this would be about the time I would ask Myron to go up and clean them. Because we're in a brand new RV, we probably won't have to clean them for a while.
Yeah,
so,
we'll wait.
But, that's something to consider is, clean your coils, clean your filters on the inside. And when you're up on your roof, you're probably going to want to check like your drip tray just to make sure that water can get out and escape. Anything you can do to help your ACs work less hard to keep you cool, I think that's great. Now, in this brand new RV that we purchased, we have the Furrion Chill Cube and a Furrion ducted AC currently in here. We are going to be adding a third AC in this RV, hopefully in the next few weeks, which will not be a Furrion. It's a brand new, or it's a different brand that has reached out to me and said, we think our AC is better. And we want you to try it. And it just works out that this new
has a spot for it.
Right. And so we're going to be putting that in. They're saying it's 30% more efficient. It's quieter. But I will say, so far, our two Furrions have done a pretty good job. Now, we did have an issue yesterday. And this is the problem. You don't want your AC to fail you during a heat wave like we're in. And yesterday, ours failed in the sense that water was coming out of the bedroom when onto the bed, and we're talking big amounts of water. We're not talking a little trickle.
No, it was a bunch.
And so Myron just happened to be out here installing our washer and dryer, and so he was trying to figure it out yesterday, and he thought first it was the drip tray up top. He went up, put a couple more holes in. That didn't solve it. Then he took some readings and said something's not right. I think it might be low Freon. And so it ran okay. Yeah, it ran good overnight. We didn't have any water come down on us overnight. But this morning when he showed up, he said, I think I know what it is. I don't think it is the Freon. So there is, if I understand him right, because I'm definitely not an HVAC person, but if I understood him right, there's a little probe that goes on the coils, and that helps to tell the air conditioner what temperature and whatever. It had come off.
Okay.
And so what he said he thought was happening was the thing was running continuously and freezing up and then thawing itself out, and that's why all that water was dumping down.
See, we kind of wondered why it never stopped.
Yeah. And so he said, I didn't even think about that yesterday. And the reason he didn't think about it is because he was up on our roof when it was like 92 degrees out, and it felt like 101 or something.
My goodness.
So this morning we're going to run it, and he thinks it's fixed because sure enough, when he got up there, he said, yep, that thing was just dangling out in open space. So the coil didn't know what the temperature was and just kept running and running and running. So, but do some simple maintenance on your air conditioners in your RV, and that will help them be more efficient. So.
Well, and one thing we do just real quick is also when it's really hot like that, in the morning. I mean, we don't like start and stop the air conditioners. We try to have them so that they aren't working so hard starting and stopping.
Right.
So we keep them, both of them, right now they're in sync at 72 degrees, and ours are lucky there. They do the dry mode to help with humidity. And we also have a dehumidifier to help with that. But
yes,
to keep it all nice and dry so you're not uncomfortable, sticky.
And Patty, I think that's something we should talk about because we've never had these Furrions with this dry mode, which what I've being told by people who have it is think of it as like a built-in dehumidifier. So we never had that. So our solution was back in 2021, we were in Florida in July, again, like being on the sun, for a week at Disney. It was so humid. And so we quickly, because down in Orlando you can get either same day or next day delivery on Amazon. We ordered just a little tabletop dehumidifier.
Yeah. Carrie
And,
Balberona suggested it. They had
yeah,
one in their RV.
and I know some of you will say, which one was it, Patrick?
I don't
we
know.
we went in and looked. It says it's not available anymore, but there's plenty of brands out there. It was some cheap off-brand on Amazon. I think we paid like $35 or $40 for it.
Something like that. Yeah.
This thing is still going. This is 2021. It's almost 4 years old, and it just has a small dump cup at the bottom where
like
the
a
water
cylinder
goes.
shape,
Yeah, and we just set it here on the end tables by the
Right.
sofa. But we've been using that for 4 years, and taking that humidity out of the air in your RV will really help you feel more comfortable in your RV.
Well, and it also, just helps with your issue of having dew, like
Yeah.
behind your furniture, under your mattress, stuff like that. Plus, it makes you feel better because I just know from where I worked, my classroom had a lot of humidity in it, and it causes a lot of sinus. This boy's giving me a bath.
I know. Those of you listening on the audio podcast, Truman's over here just a licking away. Patty's trying to corral him. Yeah, so that's something. If you don't have these Furrions with the built-in dry mode, and there may be other brands that have it built in, we just have never had it, then you might want to consider going on Amazon and finding a little dehumidifier. And I just get a tabletop one because RVs, they're not big. You don't have room for the
space. Yeah.
And like right now, we're probably emptying this every couple days.
Yeah, I emptied it yesterday, and it was like a third.
And it's actually pretty dry. But we've been running the ACs on that dry mode, so they are also trying to take moisture out of the air.
So if you're lucky enough, do that, but also humidifier, we've done that before, dehumidifier.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about the dehumidifier.
Yeah.
Is just opening the freezer door and sticking your head in one of our tips.
That works too sometimes.
That works too sometimes. Popsicles. Gotta love popsicles when it's super hot out. But no, is there anything else you like to do to? So let's just go back before, and then you can think while I'm wrapping this up. I think the point you were getting at earlier with the ACs is don't let your RV fall behind. You run it like a walk-in refrigerator in the mornings so that when the hottest part of the day, which typically is not until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but at least it gives your RV a chance. Now, that temperature, let's say you're running it at 68 at 8 o'clock in the morning and you're freezing, but by noon, 1, 2, and 3 o'clock, if your ACs can't keep up, at least they started a point. So now maybe they've only lost a couple degrees and so I think that's key is just staying ahead of it. I think sometimes people wait way too long.
And then they're like, then when it's really hot, they can't cool it off, and then you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like pain management.
Yeah, you got to keep ahead of it.
Got to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
And so, did you want to go?
Well, and I was just thinking just on clothes-wise. When we camp in the summer, it's a little bit different than in the fall and the spring, but we have a lot of wiki material, or our friend likes 100% cotton just because it pulls.
I don't like cotton.
I don't either.
But it's too hot. It soaks in the cotton. Just
our friend likes it though.
I know. Mark likes it, but
we like the stuff that's more called
wicking
the wick material.
Yeah, it dries out quicker and
it just doesn't cling to you, and you have more freedom and to move, and so that kind of.
So you are suggesting people still wear clothes when it's hot out?
Oh, absolutely. Unless you can get in a pool and have some swimsuit on. But.
There you go. But I'm thinking of something that I'm staring at in our bedroom right now.
And the Wuzu.
The Wuzu fan. Now, we don't care what brand fan, but we have found fans also can really help because Patty currently has it on oscillate mode. And if you're not familiar with the Wuzu, it's a brand. You can find it on Amazon. We have picked ours up at Costco because they tend to be a little cheaper at Costco. Mm-hmm. But no matter where you get it, it's a small tabletop-style fan. It oscillates both left and right and up and down, and it can do a combination. You can do has multiple speeds. Yeah, lots of. But we find that helps to spread out that cold air. And so sometimes what we'll do, if you find that one area of your RV maybe has a hard time staying cool, then you can actually use the fan. Patty, you used to do this.
To push
was
the
it
air.
in the first
And
fifth wheel.
number 2.
It was a number 2.
Yeah.
So Patty
and
would.
the first one.
Yeah, Patty would set the
In the hallway.
in the hallway and have it facing, I guess, towards the bedroom. So it was or no,
Both ways.
you were actually had it facing out because the living room is a much bigger area, and so
it was getting warmer.
Those struggled to keep it cool.
Right.
And the bedroom, because it was so small and had its own dedicated.
It was like a meat locker.
Yeah, and so Patty would have that fan just basically pushing that cold air from the bedroom out into the living room.
Right, because you remember our last RV, it didn't. We didn't have as good of air conditioners, and so we were trying to push the cooler air out, and plus with the pups, just trying to keep. Sometimes we put that directly on them.
Right.
When we leave, if we think it's going to be warmer but we haven't had that issue yet in this one.
And if you're let's say you're boondocking, and because we have boondocked in some pretty extreme heat,
nuts.
You can get things like USB powered fans, and we had one and we still own it. We honestly don't use it anymore, but that thing worked great. We used the heck out of that little USB fan.
Right.
So yeah, I just, as I was sitting here looking at the fan and you got it going right now, I'm like, hey, there's something you can do that could potentially help keep you cool.
And another thing is if your fan, I don't know what you call that thing.
The Max Air fan, your exhaust fans, whatever.
You can set it up as a ceiling fan. I think that helps too.
Yeah, so if anybody has a Max Air fan or a Max Air fan Deluxe, you may not know this, but you can actually turn your fan on.
Open it up.
Well, it'll open when you turn it on, and then just hit the close button. It'll keep running.
Right.
But it'll close it, and then it will run it like, in essence, it acts like a ceiling fan because it's sucking that air up. And then just like a ceiling fan does, it just then pushes it back down. It helps because remember, cold air sinks, hot air rises. And so, it'll help kind of circulate. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good one. The other thing, a couple other ones that as I'm looking around the RV, keep your blinds closed. Because that sun coming through the windows can quickly warm up your RV.
Right, especially depending on the time of day. Like in the morning here, we got them on the east. They're closed up.
Yep, and then this afternoon you'll close on the west side and open the east side back up.
Yep.
And one of the things that's driving us nuts right now that we totally forgot is where the opening is over by the coffee bar for the third AC. There's just I don't know if that's just...
It's just an open...
Can you open it? It's just a vent cover.
I don't think you can open it.
I don't know. It doesn't matter whether you can open it or not. It's just letting in a ton of light. Yeah. And when it's hot out, that light creates heat. So in our very first fifth wheel we ever owned was a... Cougar. And it did have a vent you could open in the kitchen area and the bedroom area. The bedroom area was actually prepped for a second AC, which we never did. But we ended up buying, and I found these at Camping World. You can find them online at Amazon.
Cubes.
They're like a cloth cube with reflective
on one
side, and you put the reflective facing up, and then the downside was more of like a wool or I don't know. It was a material.
Yeah.
But it got rid of the light, and it helped reflect that heat during the day. So yesterday we were both like, "Oh my gosh, this thing!" It was almost like you could just feel the heat rolling in. We don't want to buy one of those because we know we have this AC that's going in there. I probably should have just taped something, got the ladder out, and I can't even reach it.
No. Well, and you remember in the Lance, you had snaps where you had these covers for winter and summer that you could put on. They were like I think it was a leather patch, wasn't it?
It wasn't leather, but it was like a vinyl. And I'm glad you brought that up because I think that is something like I loved about Lance was, the Lances all come with covers for your vents. So like when you winterize, you can snap them on. And wherever there's an opening, like I remember in the bathroom for the what do you call those?
The thing in the shower.
Yeah, I don't know. You call that a moonroof, a sunroof? It's I don't know what you call them.
The open roof.
The open, yeah. So like, and
skylight.
Skylight. There we go. Woo!
That was a rough one.
We would snap that on in the winter, even if we were camping. We just leave it on because then it helped keep the cold air out, and you can do the same thing in the summer if you want. You can snap those on, and they're just snaps, so it's quick to put them on and take them off. I'm surprised more RV manufacturers haven't come up and used those.
Yeah, it was pretty swift.
And that was part of their winter package, that comes on their trailers. Is another way to help keep, because if you think anytime there's an opening, cold air rolls in, and then also hot can too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all right, that seems like a pretty good list of some
I
things
think so.
to consider. And if you and again, we don't have those fancy snap things,
Nope.
but we could easily make something and put up
you
there.
Sure could.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Get some. I envision having to go to command center with the command.
yeah, I love command. I command this, command that. I love it. Command Velcro tape. I'll tell you what, I get. I do every time Patty's like, I need a hook. I'm like, let's go to the command center. In fact, I keep my own little mini command center right here in the RV.
You have your own little center.
Yeah.
You should have a display.
I should.
You'd be like Menards.
They should sponsor this podcast. That's what they should do.
I mean, it's like you go into a store and he sees it, he's like zones over to it.
Yeah.
And he's looking like, what else do I need on command? I can use command.
That's right. So this would be the point if Angie was sponsoring the podcast. We'd say thanks to Happy Acres Campground in Angola, Indiana. Great location right off of I-69 at US 20, just 10 minutes south of the Indiana Toll Road, and 50 minutes from the RV Museum and every major RV manufacturer in Elkhart. So a huge shout out to our not a currently a sponsor, Happy Acres Campground. How's that?
There you go.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today. And if you are watching this on video,
bless your heart.
You have probably watched like 4 of them in 2 weeks because I have fallen behind, Patty, on editing the video ones. And so I think this is like episode 108 or 109, and I think I just posted like episode 105 on YouTube. I am so far behind on those, but I'm going to get people caught up over on YouTube.
Yep.
So if you're watching this, you're now caught up. Maybe. Assuming I haven't fallen further behind. So, and speaking of hot, let's talk about our hot producer, Mr. Jim Kuzman.
Good transition.
You like that?
Sure
thanks, Jim, who he does all the editing on the audio side. You know, we've been getting a lot of complaints over on our YouTube channel, Travels with Delaney, about the audio. But you know what we never get here on Travels with Delaney, the podcast?
Yeah.
Complaints about audio. And it's all because of Jim.
He's awesome.
Yep. Between Jim and these headsets,
we rock.
That we do rock. So, all right, everybody, stay cool out there. Have a wonderful 4th of July. And until next time, we'll see ya.
On down the road.
Bye.
Travels with Delaney. We'll see you on down the road.